Okay, I'm back. So yes, you can see it, and yes, it's not backwards, thank goodness. Okay, so anyway, if you multiply straight across with multiplication, remember we just multiply straight across. 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 2 is 6, 6 divided by, remember that sign just means divide, equals 1. So anytime you take a number, any fraction, or any whole number, because if you did the same thing with a whole number, 8 over 1 times its multiplicative inverse is going to be 8 over 8, which is the same thing as 1. So even if you have a whole number, it doesn't really matter because you can make it a fraction. I think this might be a little easier if I do it this way, hopefully. Let me see if I can go back a bit. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, now I've lost my book. Oh, this is going to be a really weird thing I'm doing here. Okay, hold on. Maybe I'll put you back over here after all. Okay, this is a work in progress. If your parents want to laugh, I guess you could show them your goofy teacher. All right, number 2 says just give an example of that. So I just gave you 2 different examples. Yours probably looks similar to mine. So if you gave like 5/7, we know the multiplicative inverse is going to be 7/5. If we multiply it, we're going to get 35 over 35, which is reduces to the number 1. All right, number 3 is where we're going to go next. Number 3 says, which number sentences are true? Select all that apply. So when you look down through there, if you say 1/2 divided by 3 is the same thing as 2 times 1/3, that is wrong. Because we know that with division, we keep, change, flip. Well, you didn't keep this if you have the number 2 here. That is not the same thing. So A can't be true. B is also not true because 2/3 divided by 4/5 is not the same thing as 3/2 times 4/5. You flipped the wrong thing on letter B. Letters C and D are both correct because 7/10 divided by 1 over 42 is the same thing as 7/10 times 42 over 1. Even though it's not showing the over 1, you know that's what it is. And the same thing on letter D, 5/9 divided by 5/6 is the same thing as 5/9 times 6 over 5 because you did the multiplicative inverse of it. Number 4, what is the value of the expression 1 2/3 times 2 4/5? And I'm going to use the dot because we don't want to get mixed up with our x later on when we're working on variables in algebra. So I'm going to go ahead and change this mixed number into an improper fraction. 3 times 1 plus 2 is going to be 5 over 3. I'm still multiplying because it's not division. I don't flip anything for this. Same thing over here. Multiply and then add. I'm basically saying how many fifths are in this whole number 2. Well, there's 10, but I still have another 4/5 here. So I have 14 over 5. I love it when this happens. Remember whenever we have a 5 and a 5 and they cancel out because 5 divided by 5 is just 1. So my 1's cancel out. I'm going to go straight across. 1 times 14 is 14. 3 times 1 is 3. I'm going to put it back into a mixed number. There is no reason I am not going to flip this. I don't ever flip my answer. I'm going to put this back into a mixed number. I know that 3 can go into 14 4 whole times, so I have 12. And then I have 2 left over out of the 3 that I was dividing by. So my answer is 4 2/3. All right, give me 1 second. Let me erase this board really good. So hopefully you're having a good Friday. Right now, while you're watching this, I'm driving and driving and driving. So I will be checking in. If you need to email me, you can email me any questions you might have today while you're working on math or on science, even later on if you need to. I will have internet access, I think, pretty much the whole time. So actually, my daughter will be doing the driving, so I will for sure be able to check my email if you need to email me. Number 5, it says a piece of wood was 12 feet long. Kendra cut the wood into pieces 2/3 of a foot long. How many pieces did Kendra make? Okay, so she's got this piece of wood that's 12 feet long, but she's going to chop it up into smaller pieces. Because we're taking a whole entire amount and chopping it up into smaller pieces, we know it has to be division. So these are going to be 2/3 of a foot long each. We're going to start with our 12, divide by 2/3. I'm going to put a 1 under that because that way I can make it an A over B form. That way we have a rational number to work with. I'm going to keep, change, and then I'm going to use the reciprocal of 2/3, which is 3 over 2. Before I do anything else, I'm going to cross reduce. I can't do my 12 and 3 because they're both numerators. You can't do anything with numerator and numerator or denominator and denominator. You have to do numerator and denominator. So 12 and 2 have 2 in common. I'm going to divide both of them by 2. I get a 6 and I get a 1. When I go straight across, I have 6 times 3 is 18. I have 1 times 1 is 1. So the answer is 18 total pieces that she's able to get out of that 12 foot of wood. 18 total pieces. Number 6. Which expression is equivalent to 2/3 divided by 3/5? This is probably one of the easiest problems on here. We know to keep, change, flip, so it has to be letter B. 2/3 times 5 over 3. Turn the page. We're on number 7. This one I probably am going to need a little bit more room, so let me go ahead and erase it. Hopefully you didn't miss anything on that first page, but if you did, remember that you get to correct it, correct everything. Don't turn in a page that has all the wrong answers on it. That would be silly. Make sure that you're correcting as you go, because you're going to turn that in. I'm going to grade it. You're going to get it back to be able to use it on the test on Tuesday. All right, number 7, it says, Michael spent 1 3/4 hours at the doctor's office and a total of 1.5 hours driving to and from the appointment. Which expression shows the total number of hours Michael spent away from home for his visit to the doctor? Okay, so I know that he started at home, he drove to the doctor's office, and then he also went back home. So we're trying to get a total of how long he drove. Well, total always tells me that we're going to add. And so when we add, we're going to add 1 3/4 that it took him to drive from home to the doctor's office, and then a total of 1.5 that he was on the road driving. So the correct answer is letter D. Number 8, on 5 days of every week, Jackie runs 2.5 miles in the morning. How many total miles did Jackie run every week? We could do addition. Total means addition. And we could do it as repeated addition if we really wanted to, but we know how to multiply mixed numbers. And so we're just going to do it the easier way, which is multiplying. We're going to say 2.5 for every single day of the week, but this tells us that only she's doing it 5 days a week. So even though a week has 7 days, this tells us that we're only going to do this 5 times. So 2.5 times 5 is going to be 2.5. I've got to make this an improper fraction first. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, over 2, times 5 over 1. I'm going to go straight across because I can't reduce anything. 5 and 2 have nothing in common except for 1. 5 and 1, nothing in common except for 1. 5 and 2, 5 and 1, nothing. So I'm going to go straight across, straight across. 5 times 5 is 25. 2 times 1 is 2. Be careful here. Don't add. I don't know what else I've been seeing. Crazy things. Make sure you're actually multiplying. 25 divided by 2. If you don't know for sure, go over here and divide it. 25, the number on top always goes inside the division box. The number on the bottom is always on the bottom, or on the outside rather. 2 goes into 2 one time. Bring down my 5. 2 times. Now, this is where some of you are getting mixed up. There's your whole number. This is your numerator. This is your denominator. 1 half. So the total is 12.5 miles. Is that what she's running? 12.5 miles. Yep. Okay, 12.5 miles for number 8. Number 9 is kind of strange the way they ask this question to you. They give you the information and it says that Andy rode his bicycle 2 4/5 miles on Monday and 1 3/10 miles on Tuesday. If you look down at letter B, it says how many total miles did Andy ride on the 2 days. It wants you to add because it says total, so it wants you to add them up. But the reason it asks you on letter A for the LCM is because it's trying to get you ready to think about the fact that you need to change those denominators into a common denominator. Well, in order to do that, you've got to think of the least common multiple, because remember that LCM and LCD are the exact same thing. Least common multiple, least common denominator. So we're going to add 2 8/10. Oh, sorry, actually it's 2 4/5 to begin with, and 1 3/10. Now, what I did this a different way than some of you maybe did. I actually made this an improper fraction because I think it's easier to work with. So 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14/5, plus 10 times 1 is 10, plus 3 is 13/10. But I went ahead and made this into a common denominator of 10. 5 times 2 is 10, so 14 times 2. Go over here to the side if you're not sure. 4 times 2 is 8, 2 times 1 is 2, 28 goes on the top. I'm going to add this together. 28 plus 13 is 41. I keep my same denominator of 10, so 41/10, which I know 41/10 is the same thing as 4, because 10 goes into 41 4 whole times, with 1/10 left over. So our answer is 4 1/10 miles. Number 10. It says find the quotient. Well, that gives me a really good clue because it's division, but in addition to that, it's got a division symbol on there, so I know quotient has to mean divide. It's the answer to a division problem. So find the quotient of 4 4/5 divided by 4/5. And then it says something about the GCF. But don't worry about that yet, because you need to solve the problem first, and then you'll be able to figure out what it's talking about with the GCF. So 4 4/5 divided by 4/5. I'm going to make this an improper fraction first. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 4 is 24/5, divided by 4/5. I'm not going to flip it because I don't want to get confused. I'm going to do it one step at a time. Now I'm going to keep, change, flip. And the reason it's asking about GCF is because it's saying, can you cross simplify? Can you cross reduce? Well, yeah, we can do it twice. 5 divided by 5 is just 1/1, because both of those have 5 in common. 24 and 4 both have 4 in common. I can divide top and bottom both by 4. So I come up with 6/1, which is just the whole number of 6. That was number 10. Number 11, Linda is making some curtains. She has 2 1/3 yards of material. She wants to make 3 curtains. She needs 8/9 of a yard for each curtain. Does she have enough material to make 3 curtains? Okay, so she has, the way that we know that it's division is because she has 2 1/3 yards, oh, you can't see me, 2 1/3 yards of material. And then she's trying to chop all this material up into 3 curtains. So we're going to divide 2 1/3 divided by, oh no, maybe we're not going to divide by 3. Hold on a second, let me look at this again. Oh yeah, we are. 2 1/3 divided by 3. But we need our answer to be 8/9 or more. So we're going to have to figure out what this answer is. 2 1/3 divided by 3. I'm going to go ahead and make my mixed number into an improper fraction. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7/3, divided by the whole number of 3, but I know that that's going to be over 1, because I need to make it into A/B form. Then I'm gonna keep, change this to multiplying the reciprocal, which I know that's okay, we can do that. And I get 7/9 because I'm gonna multiply straight across. Well, I have 7/9 as my answer. And she needed 8/9. Because 7/9 is less than 8/9, she does not have enough material. She needs a little bit more to be able to make those 3 curtains as big as she wants to. So the answer is no. We did number 12 in class, but in case you weren't here, it is division, 21 3/8 inches wide. So in other words, he's got this wall, 21 3/8 inches wide. He has these tiles that are 4.5 inches wide. We want to know how many tiles total he can put on there. So we're going to divide 21 3/8 divided by 4.5. You're going to come up with 4 3/4. So letter A, he can put 4 entire whole tiles on there, but then he's got this little bit of space left. The 3/4 is 3/4 of a tile to fill that up. So he's got to break part of that tile into pieces and put the rest of it up there. All right, number 13, how many times longer is how many times longer is a line measuring 9 1/3 yards than a line measuring 3 1/2 yards? We're gonna divide. I know this one's a little tricky because it says times, but we know that we have an answer of 9 1/3. In other words, we have this yard, or this line, I don't know why I keep saying yard. We have this line, and it's 9 1/3. That's our answer. And we also know that we have a line that's measuring 3 1/2 yards. So we have to multiply by something to get us to this 9 1/3. Well, let me show you a different example. Because we already know how to do this, we know that we're going to have to divide. But I'm going to show you another example. It's a really simple one. Let's say that we have the number 4 times something equals 20. Well, automatically, you probably already know that 5 is going to go in here. But how did you know that? Well, the reason you knew that is because you said, oh yeah, 20 divided by 4 is 5. Well, you're going to do the exact same thing here. You're going to say 9 1/3 divided by 3 1/2 is this number right here. So let's do that. 9 1/3 divided by 3 1/2. Now, I'm going to just look at this and just think to myself, all right, I see that it's like 9 and a little bit divided by 3 1/2. I know my answer is going to be around 3 somewhere. So if I come up with a really crazy answer, I'm way out of the range of it being even making mathematical sense. So I know it should be around 3 somewhere. Going to go ahead and make it from my mixed number into my improper fraction. 3 times 9 is 27 plus 1 is 28 over 3 divided by 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7 over 2. But I'm going to keep, change, flip. Oh, thank goodness I can reduce this because 7 and 28 both have 7 in common. If you do not know your math facts, if you don't know your multiplication facts, you have got to start learning them. I have a list of people that I'm going to start sending home multiplication practice cards with. If you want to be on that list, like if you're thinking to yourself, I probably don't know my multiplication facts very well, ask me. I can make as many copies as we need. I have about 10 of you that I know you need practice with multiplication, so I'll send those home next week. Okay, back to this. 28 divided by 7 is 4. 7 divided by 7 is 1. I'm going to just go straight across. 4 times 2 is 8. 3 times 1 is 3. I'm going to put it back into a mixed number. I know that 3 can go into 8 2 whole times because 3 times 2 is 6. 7, 8, I have 2 left over out of 3. So 2 2/3 is the number that would go right there to be multiplied and make it be 9 1/3. Don't believe me? Let's figure it out. Let's see if it actually works. So we're going to go back here. We're going to say 3 1/2. So 6 plus 1 is 7. So 7 over 2 times 2 2/3. We're going to say 3 times 2 is 6 plus 2 is 8 over 3. We're going to multiply straight across, but before I do that though, I'm going to reduce because I'm going to say 8 and 2 both have 2 in common. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 28 over 3. I know that 3 can go into 28 9 whole times, and I have 1 left over. Did I get the same answer I was hoping to get? I did. That means that my answer is correct. All right, last one. Number 14. 12 and 5/6 feet long and is, a mural is 12 and 5/6 feet long and is divided into 7 equal length panels. How many feet long is each panel? Divided gives you a clue. We're going to say 12 and 5/6 divided by 7. They're ending on a pretty easy one. 12 and 5/6 divided by 7. So we're going to just do 12 and 5/6 divided by 7. I'm going to go ahead and do over 1 right here. 6 times 12 plus 5. Okay, I already know that 12 times 6 is 72, but in case you didn't, go over here to the side and multiply. Then I need to add my 5 to it. So I come up with 77. 77 over 6 divided by 7 over 1. But keep change flip. 77 over 6 times 1 over 7. I love when this happens. 77 and 7 both have 7 in common. That's their greatest common factor. 77 divided by 7 is 11. 7 divided by 7 is 1. Going straight across, I have 11 over 6. I know that 6 can go into 11 one whole time. And then I have 5 out of the 6 left over. So my answer is 1 and 5/6. And I think that's the last, it should be feet. 1 and 5/6 feet. And I think that is the last problem. Let me double check. Yep. Okay, so if you need to rewatch this, if you want to rewatch it at home, you can. If you want to rewatch it on Monday night before the test, you can. Lots of times that you can watch this. I love a flipped classroom for this very reason. All right, hopefully y'all have a good day today. Have a good weekend, and I will see you back on Monday. Bye.